to be there. So I'll start off by just talking about the heart behind what we've done and who we are. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play a video titled I Didn't Know that we put together. And then I'll take you through the presentation, which is going to land on our Guardian program that we've built. And so we've been around for about 3 years. There were several of us that really got together from the intelligence community, from the military community, not too dissimilar to what the Guardian program or the Guardian organization is doing. And we really just felt called in order to be able to utilize technology, intelligence, corporate structure, extensive corporate structure in order to be able to bring a lot of processes and procedures to this in order to be able to both work on the problem, solve the problem individually as an organization, but then also to serve as a hub to where we can collaborate with other organizations in order to do that. We work with numerous care facilities across the United States that actually take in those that have been trafficked, and they focus on restoration. And then we utilize our relationships in order to be able to build missions. One of the missions that we did is we worked on the Super Bowl, and we put together a geofencing operation with Veterans for Child Rescue that's led by Craig the Sawman Sawyer, who served on Navy SEAL Team 6. And we announced that we were going to do a 10-mile radius, and we ended up doing a 25-mile radius. And within those 25 miles, we had over 400 arrests. And I think there was 162 children that ended up being either identified or rescued. And so that's the operations side of it. So we do have an intervention division. We have an awareness division, which is just a lot of outreach that's there. And then what I'm going to talk to you most about today, as you asked me to do, is the prevention division. And the prevention division really focuses around building the Untrafficked Guardians program. And so that's really what I want to show you. So one of the things that we wanted to do was engage. Well, number one, we felt called to be able to untraffic America first and foremost. And then once we figured out how to best build this system and execute and then scale it, then we're going to go ahead and go to different parts of the world. And so what I'd like to share with you first, and this is in the presentation, but we put out a pledge, and anybody across the United States, excuse me, or even across the world can take the Untrafficked pledge. And it goes like this: I pledge to raise my voice, take action, and do my part to stop child sex trafficking. I pledge to become a guardian and learn how to stand alongside of children and keep them safe. I pledge to speak out on their behalf whenever and wherever necessary. I pledge to untraffic America. And they simply sign their name on our website, which is untrafficked.org. And then they'll receive a link to our portal and be able to become an Untrafficked Guardian, where we send a tremendous amount of information for training and equipping so we can untraffic America, then the rest of the world, one household at a time, one neighborhood at a time, one community at a time, one city at a time, state at a time, and country at a time. And so, like so many have said, and we are in agreement, is that the lack of information and the lack of training and equipping is there. And so we wanted to be able to fill that gap, not only in focusing on outreach and awareness, but actual training and equipping in order to do so. And so this is the presentation that's up here. The first thing that I'd like to share with you is that I wanted to share with you some hope. These are 4 testimonies of when we've actually, our intervention division has been successful at working with 4 different types of trafficking victims. One of them is referred to as an SRA. It's a girl who was a victim of satanic ritual abuse, and she's an overcomer, and she's moved into long-term care, and she's healing and adapting to her new life. And she had stated that untrafficked set me free. Another one was a cult victim. So it was a Christian church, that operated as a Christian church on the outside, but on the inside, it was a cult. And she was a cult victim. She escaped and then contacted us. We transported her to an untrafficked safe house facility for a 30-day transition, and then transported her to the long-term. Go ahead and stay on that slide, please. To a long-term care facility back in July of 2021. An online predator victim, her grandmother contacted us, and then we engaged, and we were able to collaborate with law enforcement, and that predator was arrested, and they were a known trafficker. And so the grandmother said that Untraffic protected her granddaughter and kept her from imminent harm. And then this one we're very proud of, a trafficking victim recovery, 352 miles away from the point of abduction. We got her in 5 hours and 31 minutes, collaborating with law enforcement in 3 different counties with 3 different sheriffs that were there, being able to track both the predator and the victim the whole way, doing so in partnership with law enforcement using legal methods. And so that's a disclaimer, because there's technologies that are out there. Some are able to be used and some are not. And so everything we do is we pass by law enforcement to make sure that we're keeping everything above board and legal. And so the mother of this young lady said that she would never know that she would see her daughter again if she didn't contact us. And so we're grateful to be a part of the story of these recovered survivors of trafficking. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And so I just said this. This is the Untrafficked Pledge and how you can become a guardian. And so I implore all of you to go onto the website, take the pledge, become a guardian at untrafficked.org. Next slide, please. These are just some statistics, and these are where we really focus on the outreach side of this and the awareness part. And so these are every time we go to an event, we have little cards. On one side is the QR code in order to connect to our website. And then on the other side is the statistics that are there. Next slide, please. And so our mission is to equip and mobilize America to stop child sex trafficking and restore survivors, giving them hope for a brighter future. And one thing we really want to do is always land on hope. And it's very important for us to always land on hope, and not just to focus on the problem, but the fact that there's hope in a solution. And so we deploy advanced technology, utilize deep intel capabilities, and we leverage our well-established affiliate network in order to achieve these goals. Next slide, please. And so the 4 pillars for us to untraffic America are outreach, prevention, intervention, and restoration. And as I had stated today, we're really going to focus next on the prevention part, because this is what you asked me to do, and I'm so happy to do it. Next slide, please. So on this part, we just really need to focus on the problem, and it's been discussed by others here. In 2020, in the United States, there was 543,018 missing person records entered into the National Crime Information Center's database. We still don't have an accurate way in the United States to figure out how to track the number of victims, but based upon these statistics, we just know that the problem is large, and we need to collaborate in order to be able to make a dent and solve this problem. And so a lot of these children, they're trafficked from the safety of their own homes. Charity had a great point in talking about that earlier. Traffickers, they conduct their operations with a wide range of methods, and they try to get to our kids through social media, internet chat rooms, during online video game play, at school, at a party, at a mall, by a family member, by a neighbor, at a restaurant, you name it. There's so many different ways. And this is the problem, is that they have multiple points of access to our children. The next slide, please. And so one more back, please. And so what we've done is we've introduced through animation the ability for anybody on any street across the United States to become a guardian. And when you become a guardian, we literally are transforming you guys into superheroes. And so we bring a tremendous amount of education and training in order to do that. And then guardians receive everything that is listed here on the right side with the bullet points in order to be able to be equipped and so forth. And so in our guardian handbook, we have a tremendous amount of scenes and different scenarios where an untrafficked guardian enters into the picture when there's a grooming or a trafficking being committed, and they take their training and have the ability to go ahead and protect the child. Next slide, please. And so here it is. There's hope. We provide through thoughtfully composed curriculum with the goal to inform and equip families and communities on how to become well-trained defenders of their community, to protect themselves and children from being groomed by sexual predators and traffickers. And what you see up here on the left, there's a bunch of kids playing video games. You know, the parents, they don't know what's going on. The grandfather is there. He's just bringing in the groceries. And then there's an untrafficked guardian that's saying, stop, wait a minute. You know, there is a predator that is sending messages through a chat feature through a video game and trying to lure these kids away from their home. And so that is one way of doing it. And the picture in the bottom is there's a bunch of kids playing soccer, and then a predator and which are several people in a black car. They just drive up and they try to lure the girl away from her friends, and they're acting like as if they're a friend and one of her friends wants to go meet, and they're getting ready to traffic her away. And so that's another one of the scenarios that's there. Next slide, please. And then we have a program where we have coloring sheets, and we work with hotels, we work with restaurants across the United States where we give these to them and allow kids to be able to color in the guardians. And so they start becoming familiar at a very young age with what we're doing. Next slide, please. And then we have a restaurant program where we issue table tents, where on one side of them talks about the guardian program, and on the other side, it talks about getting them engaged in order to be able to take a stand to get them equipped. Next slide, please. And then there will be victory. You know, this is something where all of us, I think, are extremely committed to, and we just don't want to stop. And where we miss on the prevention side, we both internally and through a collaborative effort work with other organizations and work with law enforcement at the federal level, state level, and local level across the United States in order to be able to track and apprehend both children and the traffickers that are there.